everyone, it's Jacqueline for Pixie Dust PhD. If you already own a Disney Vacation Club contract and are thinking about buying more points, or if you're contemplating buying a Disney Vacation Club contract but are worried that you won't buy enough points, today's video is for you. In this video, we'll discuss all the need-to-know information about point add-ons for Disney Vacation Club. Before we get started, if you are new to exploring Disney Vacation Club, this is not the video to start at. Add-ons are more of an intermediate level understanding of Disney Vacation Club, whereas you will want to start at the beginning. I'll leave a link in the description below, or you can click the card in this corner in order to check out my DVC playlist. This playlist contains videos going over all of the need-to-know information for DVC jargon and concepts. Things like, what is a use year? Why should you care about your home resort? How many points should you buy? Is DVC even right for you? But if you're up to date on all of the DVC basics and those videos, let's go ahead and move on to today's topic, add-ons. There are a variety of reasons why you might find yourself wanting more Disney Vacation Club points. Perhaps being a DVC owner has changed the way you vacation and you find yourself going down to Walt Disney World more frequently. Or maybe you thought your family of four would fit comfortably in a studio, but it turns out that you would much rather be in a one-bedroom and it is worth the extra points to you. Whatever your reason for wanting more points may be, you have assessed your financial situation and you are ready for more points. In DVC jargon, when you obtain more points, it's often referred to as an add-on. Officially, you are purchasing additional ownership interest and adding on more points. Let me repeat this for emphasis. It is, again, a real estate transaction, so you are purchasing additional ownership interest. In this way, it's not a difficult process by any means, but it's perhaps not as straightforward as you would imagine. Let's say you currently have a 100-point contract at the Riviera Resort, but ultimately you've decided you really want 150 points. If you decide to purchase additional ownership interest to the tune of 50 points, those points aren't just simply added and now you own one single 150-point contract. Instead, you have your 100-point contract originally, and then your new add-on contract, a separate 50-point contract. Effectively, you are purchasing a new contract. That's what it means to purchase additional ownership interest in this case. You can have as many or as few variables match your original contract as you want, and you can buy add-ons directly through Disney or on the resale market, just like you would for an initial contract. And like purchasing an initial contract, because it is a new contract, you will owe closing costs. So all that said, it's really not that different from purchasing your initial contract. Of course, there are some things to consider. You will, of course, need to decide how many points you want to purchase for your add-on. Currently, if you're purchasing an add-on directly through Disney, the minimum amount of points you can buy is 25, and that's if you're paying for it in cash. If you'll be financing that purchase, the minimum amount of points you can buy directly through Disney as an add-on right now is 50. However, do note that newer resorts will often have different, meaning higher minimum purchases for the number of add-on points. A perk of purchasing directly through Disney, just like with your initial contract, is you can pick the exact amount of points you want. If you want 33 points, they can give you 33 points. If you want 36 points, you can get that. That's pretty hard to find on the resale market. For the most part, also, you can choose your resort, although if the resort is currently sold out, you may be put on a wait list. If you're purchasing a small add-on directly through Disney, it does appear that the guides, who are the salespeople, will try to match your current existing use year, though. If you're purchasing an add-on contract through the resale market, it's very similar to that of an initial contract in that you cannot change the number of points, the home resort, or the use year. Whatever contract you end up purchasing, you're purchasing on those exact terms. This lack of flexibility does mean it can take much longer for you to come across a resale contract with the exact terms that you wish for. Many resale websites do allow you to set up alerts, though, for exactly what you want. Some also have alerts or a general part of their website for small contracts, such as 50 points and under if you're looking for a small add-on. Other than the number of points, with 2 or more DVC contracts, there are, of course, additional decisions to make. Primarily, that will be your use year and your home resort. If you want to simply be able to stay in your current home resort, but in larger accommodations or for longer periods of time or more frequently throughout the year, then you'll probably just end up matching your home resort and your use year. In this case, keeping these variables the same is nice because then your 11-month booking window is the same for both contracts and your banking deadline is also the same for both contracts. Basically, you just have less to keep track of. In this case, with the same home resort and use year across your multiple contracts, they technically are separate contracts, but you can conceptualize them as one contract. Alternatively, you may be purchasing an add-on, either small or large, at a different home resort. Maybe you want to be able to do split stays consistently between your 2 favorite home resorts at Walt Disney World. Or maybe every other year you want to be able to stay at one year, and then the next year stay at a separate home resort. This is achievable through banking and borrowing, of course. Maybe your current home resort is great for your entire family vacation, but you want to head down on select weekends with just you and your partner at a different resort. Or maybe you want that second home resort specifically for its location. For example, Boardwalk and Beach Club are pretty popular for this for access to Epcot during festival season. If you're choosing a different home resort, you absolutely can keep your multiple use years the same. This will certainly make it easier for you to remember your banking deadline, as there will just be one banking deadline instead of multiple. However, even if your use year is the same, if your home resorts are different, you cannot treat these as one single pot of points. They are separate pots of points. That 11-month home priority booking window is assigned to points, not you as an owner. So let's say your original contract is 100 points at the Riviera and you buy an add-on for 50 points at the Polynesian. Now you have 150 points you can access, but they're not treated exactly the same. 11 months in advance of your desired trip, you cannot combine this pot of points to have 150 points from your current use year to spend. You could use 100 of those at Riviera and then 50 of those at the Poly. But you can't just combine them and say, well, I as an owner have 150 points this year and I want to use all 150 over at Riviera. 50 of those points are assigned to the Polynesian as their home resort, and so they don't open up to be able to book the Riviera until the 7-month mark. For this exact example, we're also assuming that your points obtained at the Polynesian you bought directly through Disney, or you were grandfathered into the old rules where you weren't restricted in not being able to use them at newly built resorts. To avoid this, you can, of course, bank and borrow points within that one contract. So if you needed 150 points at the Riviera, you could use your 100 points from this use year and borrow 50 points from the next use year. In that case, though, you are leaving your 50-point contract for the Poly aside. Now, once you hit the 7-month mark and you don't need to worry about the home resort 11-month priority booking window, then you can treat them all as one pot. But if you're a planner, which many DVC owners are, at 11 months they are totally separate. Just remember that your home resort booking advantage is assigned to the points, not to you. That other variable you can toggle is, of course, your use year. They don't necessarily have to match between your contracts. I personally would only suggest having different use years if you are intending on going to an event at the same time every year that doesn't work with your current use year. For example, if you always want to attend a specific Run Disney Marathon weekend, if there's a specific Epcot festival you always want to go to, or if there's a specific holiday you think you'll always want to be in Walt Disney World for. These things tend to fall around the same time every year, so you would be traveling to Disney World around the same time every year. If you're purchasing your second contract specifically for something like this, in that case you would want your use year to make sense with that time period you'd be traveling. Long story short, I would suggest you get a contract with a use year that's within a few months before when you would expect to be traveling for that event every year. Note that if your multiple contracts have different use years, or if they're deeded differently, so to different names, including even changes in including or not including middle names, then you will actually have separate DVC membership IDs. If you are mentally prepared and willing to handle different use years, really having multiple DVC membership IDs won't have very many practical implications for you, but it is something interesting to note. On the flip side, if you keep the deeding the same and the use years the same, even if you have separate home resorts, you will just have that single DVC membership ID. So in summary, add-on points are really an add-on contract. You will be paying additional closing cost fees, and even if your use year and home resort match, at least initially, they will be separate contracts. You can work to pull as many different levers as you want in terms of variables. You can have matching home resorts or different home resorts. You can have matching use years or different use years, and of course, you decide the number of points. You may want to change these things if you want to be able to enjoy multiple home resorts or if you're planning on traveling at different times of the year. Buying an add-on contract directly through Disney or via the resale market is largely the same as when you think about your initial contract. You can dictate the variables far more easily when buying directly through Disney, and the process will go much faster, but you of course are paying that increased price. If you're looking to purchase an add-on and planning ahead, there is a nice perk when purchasing directly through Disney. Newly purchased add-ons will be allowed to bank those vacation points in full, regardless of the relationship of the time you purchase the contract to your banking deadline. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell icon for notifications whenever I post new videos. Thank you again to all of the returning subscribers. Your continued support really does mean a lot to me. If you often view my videos but aren't yet subscribed, I really hope you do consider becoming a subscriber. It is completely free for you and really helps me out in terms of the eyes of the YouTube algorithm. Any and all growth of my channel is really thanks to all of your interactions on the videos. I love chatting about all things Disney, so if you have questions or commentary, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, or you can find me on other social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter at PixieDustPhD. Have you thought about getting more than one DVC contract? If so, let me know what you're considering. A really cool strategy I've dreamt about is being able to buy 3 separate contracts for around 50 points or so at different home resorts. Then with a combination of banking and borrowing, you could access up to 150 points at each home resort. So if you travel to Walt Disney World annually, that would mean for year 1, you could access home resort 1 with your 150 points between banking and borrowing. And then year 2, you're at your second home resort in the same way. And at year 3, again, a third home resort. If you travel annually and don't have a super large party, about 150 points would be enough to get you around a week at a lot of home resorts. And being able to cycle through 3 different home resorts just sounds like a lot of fun to me. If you didn't want to deal with all that banking and borrowing either, you could of course just have split stays where over the course of the week you're staying at each of your 3 home resorts every year. The use years could match for ease, or you could tailor the use years based on Disney World events that you're interested in attending. I personally don't travel to Walt Disney World annually, so this strategy would not be wise for me. But it's definitely a great way to increase the variety of your home resorts while still making a really good use of all your points. Who knows? That's a Disney Vacation Club dream maybe I'll keep in my back pocket for the future. I hope the rest of your day is absolutely wonderful, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.